what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1997 Toyota Mark II Grande. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline six. Down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I'm super excited to be driving this Mark II because it's been a long time since I've driven a Mark II. I've always had a fascination and love for these cars because I feel like they're the least appreciated of the trio between the Cressida, the Mark II, and the Chaser. And so I always enjoy showing love here on the channel for the cars that didn't receive much in their day. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2-liter inline six under the hood, known as the 1GFE. Now, it's a dual overhead cam engine, and this was used in a lot of Toyota products back in the 90s for more economical purposes. They're not tuned to high heaven. They're not built to make insane horsepower like the 1J and 2J later down the road did. They were meant to offer a smooth, nice driving experience in many different platforms, and the Mark II is just one of the many platforms that it was offered in. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. However, you could also find these in 5-speed manual if that was something that you would want. And this is rear-wheel drive. However, this generation of Mark II actually started offering all-wheel drive at some trim levels. So you could find an all-wheel drive Mark II towards the late 90s. So how does it feel to drive the Mark II? Well, it's really nice. Everything in here feels pretty solid. Although it is a 2-liter, it is still a 6-cylinder, so you get that little extra oomph down low that you wouldn't expect out of a 2-liter 4-cylinder. The automatic transmission, for being 27 years old, is wonderful. It's rear-wheel drive, it's comfy, it's a really relaxed driving experience. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about the interior as well, but overall, very nice. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 very plain gauges. Off to the left is my fuel and speedometer, and off to the right is my tachometer and coolant temperature. Toyota of this era, and even still modern Toyota, they've always had a focus on simplicity, and the gauge cluster has always reflected that. The steering wheel doesn't have anything on it. It does have an airbag. This is 1997 after all. And off to the right, we do have a climate vent, our power mirror switches, and moving on to the door, we have the power windows and power locks. I love this design on the door. It mimics the seats, it's the same fabric, and I think it looks very nice. Moving into the center, we do have our climate vents, clock, and hazard switch, of which the climate vents have a swing feature, which is very cool, something you don't see in modern cars anymore. Then we do have the radio. This is the factory Toyota radio with the logic control deck. Love to see that cassette player, but also a CD player for 97, pretty good. Off to the right of that, we do have a little openable cubby with a cigarette lighter in it. And moving down below, we have the climate controls. Very simple here. Again, simplicity was king. Then we get another openable cubby that says Mark II on it, as well as a 12-volt outlet, pull-out ashtray, and we come down to the shifter. To the right of the shifter, we do have 3 different modes for shifting. Toyota and Lexus was doing this back in the 90s for power, snow, and normal. And then the shifter itself, love to see that. The big red button, that is for the parking brake release, in case it needs to be towed, which, owning a Toyota, I don't anticipate happening too much. Then we do have openable cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 1997 Toyota Mark II Grande. And something that isn't very grande are the cup holders. These could maybe fit a Red Bull, but most certainly not the big friggin' bottle. And so at the end of the day, the Mark II fails. Then we do have an armrest that can be moved forward and back really nice to accommodate short arm and long armed drivers alike. Of course, you could also open up the top for a little bit of storage, and then we'll talk about the seats. The seats are very comfortable. Almost more comfortable than even modern luxury cars. The kind of fabric that they were using in the 1990s in Japan is something that I swoon over every time I drive one. I think they really nailed seat comfort, and then we've moved away from it, unfortunately. So Very, very nice to see that. I'm very happy with these seats, and they're very comfortable. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the Toyota Mark II from 1997, and back space is there's not a whole ton of it. Now, the driver's seat could obviously be moved forward, and the passenger seat seems to have a little bit more space behind it. But if you want rear seat space, you gotta go up to the Toyota Crown. The Toyota Crown is phenomenal. It's a great, great car, and it has a lot more backseat space. I've reviewed a couple on my channel if you're curious. Otherwise, I do have a ashtray back here. I have power windows. That's pretty much it, but the fabric from the front carries on back here, and like I just ranted and raved about up front, carries on back here. Really, really nice fabric. Oh, I do get a little center console. Gotta pull that down. No cup holders, just a big foam cushy brick. However, let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, we're on the back of the Mark II. Now, we do have a trunk button. However, the actual button part is missing on the key fob, so I can't really hit it. But we do have a little unlock right here. Pull it up, and here we are. Much like the rest of the car, the trunk is rather modest. Now, it doesn't go that deep past the opening of the trunk. As you can see, there's a pretty stiff wall right there. But before that, nice wide opening right here, wide berthing outside hips. Essentially, I really, really enjoy the rear trunk space. You're gonna be able to fit a lot of stuff back here. It's very wide, just not very deep, but that's okay. You know what? This is plenty. This is a very modest amount of trunk space, which you'll be hearing that word a lot throughout the rest of the video, but here we are. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and the Mark II is a very subtle Toyota. Now, all Toyotas pretty much have pretty subtle styling in this era, even this car's sisters. But I like how it's a little bit rounded off, but still a touch boxy. I like how it's just white with regular wheels. It's a regular, nice, functional car, and yet it still has some spice to it with the 2-liter, with the rear-wheel drive, optional manual, optional all-wheel drive, that sort of thing. So the exterior is mistakable for a lot of other cars, but that's kind of its superpower. Besides those giant taillights at the back, you might not know the wiser. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Toyota Mark II? Well, I have to say that I've really enjoyed my time with this car. And I know that's not the craziest thing in the world to say, but I think the most interesting part of this car is how simple it is and how simplicity has changed over the last 27 years. Really, let's just make it a round number at 30 years. Because this car is simple and straightforward. If you wanted a car in Japan that was modestly priced, modestly powered, and modestly styled, well, the Mark II was a really good option. It's not crazy luxury, but it's also not the bottom of the barrel. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it still has an inline 6. This car is very modest. But today in 2024, it's hard to find a modest car. It feels like every car is trying to make a statement, and every car is trying to go for gold when it comes to the drivetrain. Even the vehicle I showed up with today was a Lexus TX 350. There's a full review of that car on my channel. Lexus is supposed to be a very modest luxury brand, and yet it has a 2.4-liter turbo. It has electronic door handles, screens everywhere that are gonna go bad in a couple of years. Where's the modesty? Where's the functionality? Where is putting the consumer's wallet first? Now, I'm not saying that everything in the 90s was all rosy and all about saving the consumer money. That's not the case. There were still power-hungry people in the 90s. But maybe it just wasn't so blatant as it is today. This car was designed and meant for people that wanted transportation in a comfortable, decent manner. And that's exactly what this car is. It's comfortable. It's decent. I wouldn't mind pulling up to a fancy dinner in this, a soccer game, a red carpet event, or the junkyard. This car is a black t-shirt. It can be dressed up, it can be dressed down, and it can be worn in pretty much all occasions. And that is the beauty of 90s Toyota. And that's the beauty of the Toyota Mark II. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Ricky for letting me take out his Toyota Mark II. I was so excited to to drive this car, my first right-hand drive car of 2024. Always exciting to get that under my belt. Ricky's been fantastic to work with, such a down-to-earth guy. We are chatting for quite a while, and he has some big plans for this car, which I am very excited to see. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.